Do you think the halving's priced in?
I'm a little bit of a divergent thinker about this, in the sense that I don't believe Bitcoin price moves in relation to halving cycles.
Yes. So you thought it was more coincidental that this happened?
Well, it's more, there's correlation, yes, but is it causation?
Right.
Right? So if you're a data scientist or a software engineer, you understand what I'm saying. There may be something that happens at the same time, always. But that doesn't mean one thing causes the other.
Yes.
If you overlay liquidity cycles on the Bitcoin cycles, you'll see there's a perfect match. And there's a logic behind believing that liquidity cycles drive Bitcoin prices, because when people need money, they have to take money out of their savings account. If you're going to put a deposit on a house and you've been saving for it, you maybe have cash savings, you may have stocks, you may have bonds, you may have other places. And when you need to put that deposit on a house, you're going to take money from different parts of your portfolio. Well, the same thing. When a consumer or when institutional investors need liquidity, they're going to sell off portions of their portfolio. Well, if Bitcoin is an asset that they've invested in and they need to raise 30% liquidity, they're going to sell assets out of their portfolio to raise that money, and Bitcoin may very well be that. Conversely, when they have an extra $1 billion to invest in something, they're going to invest it in stocks, bonds, et cetera, and maybe some Bitcoin.
Yep.
And so liquidity drives price appreciation, and also price declines in Bitcoin. We had all these subsidies. People during COVID had a lot of time on their hands. They were playing Robinhood, and they were buying Bitcoin. I think what we're going to see now coming into the halving is the ETF is going to play a role. Buy the rumor, sell the news. It'll be a little underwhelming, I think, on the other side of the ETF. Why? Grayscale is the biggest one of these to convert. If it converts, people have been buying Grayscale shares at a discount since at the beginning of the year. I think it was 40% discount.
Yeah, 40%.
Now it's at 10% discount. When it converts, do you think some of those people are going to want to sell to capture their money or take their money out?
Yeah,
most probably. That'll create supply in the market, which will lower the price. BlackRock, they have been buying Bitcoin in their funds for some time. So when they need to seed their ETF, they've already got Bitcoin they can do that with. Other large custodians who are holding Bitcoin for financial institutions, they lend Bitcoin to funds who need them to cover market shortfalls. And so don't expect all of a sudden billions of dollars to drive the price of Bitcoin up when that going into these funds. But once that initial demand is fulfilled, whatever impact it does or does not have on the price of Bitcoin, then that demand shock is gone. Right? And when the economy goes down and people need money to pay their mortgage bills, what are they going to sell? They're going to sell across their portfolio.
That
right?
correlation to one,
Yeah, so I don't think the ETF is a panacea.
Got it.
And I think, like with these things, the rumor drives more demand.
Of course. There's a lot of excitement around
than
it.
the news. It's like an Apple announcement, right?
Yeah.
Buy the rumor, sell the news. So I think we're in for a period of choppiness in the price of Bitcoin. I would be surprised if Bitcoin is near 50,000 at the halving. I mean, I think we're going to be somewhere between where we are today and 45 maybe.
Got it.
And by the end of next year, hopefully we drift upwards as more institutional products, more institutional adoption happens. But you've also got to realize we're heading into a recession. No matter what people say about a soft landing, it's going to be a hard landing.
Yeah.
You can just look at the numbers. The Fed is got to stop quantitative tightening because they can't sell bonds. This latest bond auction they had, it was a disaster. And so they have to stop quantitative tightening, which is effectively the Fed selling bonds off their balance sheet back into the market, which means they can't now bleed that off, which means there'll be more liquidity in the market. And they may have to do cost curve control, which is they may start having to buy bonds like they did during COVID and other financial crises, which injects liquidity into the marketplace. Because the Fed's not going to lower interest rates because they're deathly afraid of inflation kicking back on.
So you think that we should be watching the Fed's balance sheet right now? They'll
yes,
probably turn
absolutely.
That QE bell before they do anything with interest
absolutely,
rates.
because they can do that behind the scenes.